That's like in like college football when they put the hat on.
Yeah,
there we go.
The commitment videos.
Make an announcement as of last night. BU.
Pretty much, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get started. What's going on, guys? Dr. Matt here, host of the Roadie Strength Podcast. We got a repeat guest, another special guest on today, Chrisanto D'Agostino. What's going on, man?
Yeah, it's good to be back. Good to catch up.
I know. I was pumped when you hit me up on Instagram the other day. You're saying you were back in the area for Christmas time. I'm like, yeah, let's definitely make it happen. Let's get you back on the podcast. So,
yeah, 'cause I hadn't been here. See, last time we were on was a year and a half ago, summer 2022. I hadn't really been around since then. For winter break last year, I was only around for a week, and then back to school this spring. Worked the summer in Minnesota, and then fall semester. Now I'm back. So it's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
You've been busy.
Right. Yeah.
So I didn't realize you're working like a part-time job too while at school.
I did during the summer. I was taking classes during the summer, but just to do something to get experience into the field was just something I did to try and pack the resume or pad the resume a little bit.
Nice. What were you doing?
So I was a nutrition services assistant in a hospital. Basically,
Cool.
I was just serving trays to patients, making sure everything was right with them. I mean, more so like a customer service job, but still, working with different types of diets. And at least I myself was trying to understand why they were getting this food based on the conditions they have, which is the stuff that I'm getting into.
Totally.
Hopefully in a couple of years, yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, you're already well on your way. Like we just said, going to BU. Just got the official announcement for the master's program.
Yeah. As of last night, I got word that I've been accepted to their master's in nutrition plus dietetic internship. So it's a year of classes, and then a year of interning. So basically a 2-year program. After that, I'll be ready to take the registered dietitian exam.
Very cool.
And then from there, become an RD, work. I mean, wherever it takes me, I guess. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, it was the only school I applied to this fall. So I guess how that system works is a couple of schools have early deadlines. If you want to pick one or two, and if it's kind of your go-to one, then you apply early, try and get in early. The normal process is during the spring. I would have had a list of 5 more schools to try to apply to in the spring and see if they matched me for there, but. I mean, I got this news kind of early, so it takes a load off my chest pretty much.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
And BU is a great school. What were you drawn to them? Because they were the only school you applied to.
Right. So this fall I had the opportunity to go to the Food and Nutrition Conference and Expo. It's a national nutrition. I think 10,000 or so registered dietitians and students attended this this conference in Denver. In my undergrad, Concordia, we have got a very generous donation from an elderly couple who basically funds this trip for a couple of undergrad students.
Cool.
Basically fully to be there for 3 days to attend it. And so basically every single master's program in the country was there. They had a booth, to talk to a bunch of students show up to it.
Yep.
And I found out that, oh, hey, Boston University has a program. It's close to home. It's where my brother goes to school. I know it's a pretty prestigious school to go to. So I was like, I mean, what the heck? I don't really have anything else to lose applying in the spring. So this will be my fall early application. And so, I mean, that took a lot of time getting that sorted out in the fall. And it was a lot of stress and a lot of anticipation, waiting for the answer and stuff. But I got that in. I got the news early, and I'm pretty happy.
That's super cool. And I think you were saying your brother goes there as well, right? Or he's going to be going there?
He is there. So we just finished up his first semester. When I step on campus, hopefully next fall, he'll be a sophomore. He's studying. He's a fine arts major.
Cool.
Studying music.
Very cool.
Performing music, and then double majoring with math as well. So
awesome.
That's his side of things. He also lifts weights. I kind of got him into it too. So yeah.
And he's training over at Providence Barbell Club right now.
Yep. Yeah. We with Dave. Dave's his coach. They get along pretty well. They're kind of similar people, similar vibes. So it's cool to see.
They both love music.
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
I love that. All right. So we're gonna get into. So I have the rapid fire questions that I asked you last time, and I just re-listened to the podcast, which is interesting because it's almost like listening to it again for the first time because it was a while ago. So
Right.
a lot of the stuff I didn't remember. So it was good to refresh my memory. So I'm gonna ask you some of these questions again, and I just want to see if you have the same answer if it's switched up a little
Yeah,
bit.
because I didn't listen. I didn't listen back to it. I didn't study on this. So
That's all right.
So
you didn't have to study for this.
straight
one.
off the dome. Yeah.
All right. So we got favorite coffee.
This is probably going to be different. I think I said Dunkin' last time.
You did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I do Black Rifle Coffee.
Nice.
They're a veteran-owned company. I think they're out of Texas, but they have a lot of different. I brew my own coffee. I use the AeroPress.
Yep.
It's
Awesome.
pretty nice. But they have a lot of different blends, different types of grinds, stuff like that. So it's fun to drink a coffee for a month or so, and then get a new one and kind of explore. So yeah,
that's awesome. That's I think your last answer was something like frozen latte or something like that.
Oh yeah.
So
Iced Dunkin' latte. Yeah.
I like that. I haven't tried the Black Rifle coffee actually. And I've heard a ton about it, so I got to try that one. Next one we got favorite breakfast spot in like or around like Rhode Island. Do you remember what you said for this one last time?
I think I might have said Tees.
No.
That's a spot I'd probably put that down. That's a spot down where my family lives down in Narragansett.
Yeah, Tees is awesome.
South Kingston area. So I don't know if they have anything else up here.
I think they might have 2 locations. I could be wrong. I think they're both down south though, like southern Rhode Island.
Yeah. So I guess I'd have to say that's the spot.
Nice. You said Providence Bagel last time.
Oh yeah.
The Green Monster.
Yep. That one. I've only been here for, I guess, a week or so now, or a couple of days, so I haven't really had a chance to go out and see.
Fair.
But I mean, what comes to mind is Tees at least right now. So
that's a great spot. Yeah. Favorite Instagram accounts, and this could be like stuff you're just interested in like right now, like stuff you're seeing, like maybe could be educational, could be entertaining, or something that's just it's cool when it pops up on your feed.
First one's got to be my club account, East Coast Gold.
Totally.
I love the content and the video, or the videos they put out, like the explanations, things like that, talking through. I mean, they just really, Phil just to drop the video, Phil, my coach, about the program that we're on right now, the reactivation phase, coming off of a big meet, training for 4 or 5 months for a meet, and then kind of winding back up, but not necessarily looking at snatch and clean and jerks. We're doing some more conditioning, doing some plyometrics, some other athletic movements and stuff to keep you more well-rounded.
Cool.
So that video that they just dropped today was pretty awesome explanation. A second one that comes to mind would be Dan Garner Nutrition.
Cool.
He's a guy who also has a podcast. He was on I think we might have mentioned this before, the Barbell Shrugged podcast. He's on there a lot, and he talks a lot of very advanced nutrition topics, talking about blood work, talking about gut health, hormones, stuff like that. So it's kind of far past what I even look at being a dietitian, and really just looking at kind of conditions to treat. He's really fine-tuning things when it does come down to blood work and I guess
gut health.
Yeah, gut health, things like that, trying to optimize an athlete to the best that they can.
That's really cool.
So he posts like studies and stuff and a lot of explanational, up-to-date research on everything, and it's all very interesting to see.
Have you ever personally messed around with any of that, getting like blood work for nutrition or checking gut health like data?
No, I mean, I've looked into it.
Yeah.
It's pretty expensive to do it. So I mean, if you're a high level athlete, it's well worth it, and you have the funds available for it.
Sure.
But I do. I mean, I try and check up on my nutrition by like putting in like, this is what I ate in the past week. This is like where I ate stuff, because I go out to eat and things like that. And
Sure.
you can't. It's harder to track that, but just to kind of see where I'm at, nutrients going in and out. Obviously, like body weight, being a weight classed athlete, that's an important one.
Totally.
But also, so at Concordia we have a bod pod.
Oh yeah.
So body composition is one thing that I'm focusing on. So I actually did one the morning before I flew out for this last meet I competed in. I was able to get in there with my professors to run it for me.
Nice.
And to kind of get analysis on body composition. I had done it previously earlier this year, and since then I had dropped 3% body fat since then. So getting leaner is obviously the goal for me, being a heavier athlete, is trying to get as much out of my frame as possible. And so that's good news for me, and that's kind of how I track things.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, the bod pod is cool too, because I know a lot of people are more familiar with like a lot of gyms have the in body now.
Yeah.
But I know the bod pod is like, it's rated as like one of the highest standard as far as like accuracy.
Right. So even looking at nutrition and dietetics, like body composition is important, and we look at different ways to measure it. We didn't really talk about the in-body scan. It's like the 3D scan of your body, right?
The in-body, it's just a brand, but they have like it uses
bioimpedance.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, those aren't regarded as like very accurate.
Yeah.
It's hard because it really depends on the part of your body that they send the pulses through, and that can influence if your body fat is kind of balanced differently throughout your body. It might not give you the full picture. I know I go into like a Crunch Fitness. They have a 3D scan thing that's kind of accurate. Like you stand on a turntable and then it spins you around.
Yes, I've seen those. Yep.
But I mean, like the biggest thing that you look at, especially, and that's what the bod pod does, is it measures your body's density.
Right.
And then it takes that into account because muscle is more denser than fat.
Right.
And so based on what the density of your body is, your body type, height, and weight, it can calculate your body fat to, I think it's within plus or minus like 1%, a couple
incredible.
of percent. So yeah, because the DEXA scan is like the top of the top, the gold standard, which is like incredibly accurate, but obviously not everyone has access to that.
Yeah, and you're starting to see some of those like popping up. There's like there's a DEXA facility here in a Seekonk now. There's a couple here and there, but they basically, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, they take it like an X-ray of your entire body. Yep. Essentially.
Yeah, because when it was developed, it was more so to kind of analyze osteoporosis and bone density and stuff. But I mean, you can figure out how, where your fat is, where your muscle is, and also see how dense your bones are. So
yeah,
I mean that whole area of body composition, I think, has definitely been seeing an upcoming and uprise in things as far as like, somewhat of an affordable way for an athlete to be able to analyze themselves and see where they're at, and I think it's a great tool to have.
Yeah, especially like you said, in a sport where you need to be on weight for competition. It's like it's good to know, like, did I gain weight because I've been training hard and I'm getting gains, like I'm building muscle, or am I eating sloppy and I'm getting fat?
Yeah,
like, where's this gains coming from?
And another thing too is if you're like, especially being a weight class athlete, like you gain weight, you cut weight, and you're essentially yo-yo dieting,
right?
And so you can, if you do it over and over again, you can kind of analyze your habits going into a meet, coming off of a meet, like where does my body composition stand? Like what's the best way to optimize having as little body fat, as much muscle mass as possible within that limited frame, within that limited weight class that you have. So,
and we're getting a little bit off track already, but which is fine. Which is fine. But follow up question on that: how have your weight cuts been recently? Because I did see, just skipping ahead, you've been kind of bouncing back and forth between 102 and 96.
Yeah. So
well, not bouncing back, but you've done some meets at 102. Right.
So I mean, the meets that I do at 102 are kind of, I guess, low pressure meets, really like local level meets, or ones that move up a weight class to be able to finish higher, just given what the competition is. And so those are ones that are like my no-cut meets.
Sure.
I won't weigh in as a full 102. I'll be at my normal training weight, which is around 98 kilos.
Sure.
So, I mean, and then being from 98 kilos, cutting down to 96 is my weight cut. So 2 kilos isn't terrible given my body weight. Yeah. It's 2% of what my body weight is. And so it's a pretty short water cut.
Nice.
To get down. It used to be, so this year I've been taking care of it a little bit more, so I don't have to cut as hard.
Nice.
Last year, going into, I guess, the same exact meet recently from 2022, I cut from over 100 kilos. So I was like 101. So that's 5 kilos, 11 pounds was like my morning dry weight when I started the cut.
Okay. Which
is pretty, I mean, at least for me, not having cut that much weight, was pretty tough.
Yeah.
I really had to dial things in. And then when it came to like the 24 hours out for meet, I had to completely cut everything out. I couldn't eat, couldn't drink, just because I was still 3 pounds over 24 hours out, being very, very dry and kind of dehydrated already. So that was a tough one, and it definitely hindered my performance a little bit, because I went into that in great shape, but I went into a great shape because I was training at a really heavy body weight. So yeah, I mean it's a balance. It's a balance. It's tough. Or you got to find what works for you, find the weight cutting methods that work for you.
And for people that don't know, because I know every sport is different, like MMA, boxing, with weightlifting, and I know for like local meets, it's a 2-hour weight cut.
Yep, all around it's a 2-hour weigh-in.
Yeah.
So you weigh in 2 hours before your session starts.
Right.
So that doesn't really give you a lot of time to be cutting 20 pounds, and then not like MMA or UFC where they give you a 24-hour weigh-in.
Right.
And those guys, their weigh-in weights and their ring weights are so vastly different, like 20 pounds more ring weight, which which is insane. But I mean, they really have to dial things, and that's one thing that, as I mentioned before with Dan Garner, is he's the nutrition coach for Sean O'Malley.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's also where I kind of he kind of came up in like my feed and when I was looking at it as Sean O'Malley was also blowing up.
Sure. Okay.
So I mean, he's been getting bigger because of that, but he talked about how being able to dial in the weight cut and make it as easy as possible on the athlete and try and take as much off their chest, and having someone there that kind of knows, this is what we got to do. This is how we're going to cut weight, but then how to refuel within that 24 hours the most efficiently. Like, you don't want to, eat a whole bag of chips right after you weigh in, because that's going to sit in your stomach and that's going to weigh you down. So that's kind of different. Weightlifting, you have such a short time between your weigh-in and stuff, so it's like a short weight cut. Just a quick meal, quick snack is really all you can put down if you don't want to feel too bloated when you compete.
Right.
Only being 2 hours after. So
yeah, I feel like that's a good way to do it too.
Yeah.
So you don't have guys making crazy cuts and then rehydrating over 24 hours.
Yeah.
And like if you do make a crazy cut, you're kind of screwing yourself because you're gonna have no power on the platform.
Right. Because I mean, if you're dehydrated, your blood volume is low. Your blood's thicker because there's less water in it, and especially looking at it when you go into your clean and jerks, you've got that bar resting on your neck, and if you don't have thin blood to be able to get through there, you don't get much blood to your head, and you get very lightheaded, and that's how you see guys pass out sometimes.
I never made the connection between that, but that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, right.
Because I remember this was a while ago. This was quite a few years ago, maybe like 2017 or something like that. We were watching. It was one of the Olympics, and Wes Kitts was doing a clean and jerk, and I think it was his second or third attempt, and he actually passed out.
Oh yeah, Every once in a while you'll see that, and sometimes it's not necessarily, maybe they catch the clean in the wrong spot. They catch it high, and so they're especially vulnerable on the blood flow and stuff in your neck.
Yeah.
So if you catch it really high and you readjust it really high, you might, no matter what your hydration level is, you might cut yourself off from there. But I mean, obviously, just being more dehydrated makes you more susceptible to it. So
yeah,
it's all a balance, and you've got to know your body for all that.
Totally. Yeah, it was crazy because I was showing people at my work. I was working at a PT clinic at the time, and people that weren't that didn't know the sport really well, they're like, "Oh my god, that guy passed out. Is this sport safe?" I'm like, "Well, it's not what you think. It happens, but
it's not like you got knocked out by Sean O'Malley." So yeah, as long as you're in a good spot and you can bail the bar out in front of you while you if you have that awareness, then you'll be more than fine. Yeah.
Oh man. Next rapid fire question.
All right.
It's not so rapid, which is fine. We got and I'm curious for these ones because I know you already mentioned one already. But what do you listen to right now for podcasts?
Oh man, I honestly haven't listened to a podcast in a while.
That's all right.
Here we go. So I listened to Mike Studd's podcast.
Okay.
I don't know if you know who that is.
He's a musician, right?
He's a musician,
yeah.
Right? But more so the podcasts he's been doing with Marcus Stroman. And I might have mentioned him last podcast too, but he's kind of the guy that I look up to, just being a baseball player and being that he is, a shorter statured pitcher. He's shortest pitcher in the league.
Okay.
And so just his mindset and his, the adversity that he faces and stuff, he's really, really open about talking about that stuff. And so when he's on the podcast with him, it's always very insightful to hear, just kind of his mindset and stuff. And even Mike too, he's a very insightful guy, very... he's a
baseball player too, right?
Yeah, he plays. So Mike Studd and Stroman, they played at Duke together when they were in college, and then Mike Studd, he blew out his elbow, came back, and never really had the fire in his arm that he used to. So
the UCL.
Yeah, he tore his UCL. I had to have Tommy John. He came back, and I think he talked about it on a podcast before. He's throwing, a guy that was throwing 90, 92 miles an hour, coming back and barely even being able to throw 85. Just doesn't play at the D1 level like them, but.
Yeah, it's a wild injury because it's so common in baseball, but it's also one of those surgeries where you see some guys they get it done and they come back and they're fine,
right? Or sometimes they're
better,
or better. Yeah,
exactly. So it's a wild surgery, and then you hear on podcasts, you hear people talk about not seriously talking about it, but hey, just tear it and get it done because one, it's gonna happen, and two, you might be better. It's it's not being serious, but
right. Yeah, it's like this, like the ACL in football.
Yeah.
Basically, it's it's scary. It's a year recovery, and it's a pretty major surgery.
Right. Right.
Some guys just don't come back from it, but those guys, Mike and Marcus, they've stayed connected even though their paths have kind of veered off from Duke. Stroman being in the MLB, and then Mike having the music career that he did. but also just seeing kind of how they've both grown over time because they've done several podcasts together, and I kind of just listen to them over.
Yeah.
And seeing just over time how they've grown and how they've adapted to things is very insightful and very they're very mindset orientated on things. And so I think for me, nowadays that really helps to
Totally
keep it on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, I like that. Next question we got, which I don't know what we said last time for this, but and this is probably going to be a college textbook, but any books recently?
Yeah.
When I was in undergrad, it was just college textbook. That's it.
Yeah. So being that I go to a liberal arts school, I take classes from all areas of things.
Yeah.
Very multidisciplinary. I took a class this semester on the religions of India.
Okay.
And so that was a book that we had to read for that class. It was a book on Hinduism.
Yeah.
And it was basically like daily readings and stuff.
Wow.
I wouldn't say that I enjoyed it, but it was probably one of the more recent.
It was
books
the more
I've
recent
read.
ones.
Yeah,
Nice. You learned some things along the way.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
good.
It's very that class was very interesting, talking about the different religions there and how.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest connection I made is learning about Buddhism, and then
Sure.
shows like the Avatar.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where those two
Pop culture.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so that's where Americans looking at their religions and stuff, how it's kind of connected. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the biggest takeaway I had from that class.
Yeah.
Really, so.
It had how it's because we don't see a ton of it in general because it's not as popular, I guess, in the
Right.
U.S. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Next one we got music. So I'll add a caveat to this. Last time you were talking about one of your some of your training days, you were listening to classical music. Is that still the case sometimes? Or
No,
not as
I've
much?
kind of veered away from that. Yeah.
Those are your garage days.
Right. Yeah. Now that I train in a gym with a couple of other guys, and so I can't be listening to classical music. That's not everyone's vibe.
Yeah.
So I've spiced it up a little bit. I still listen to hip hop rap stuff like Drake, Lil Baby.
Yep. The pump songs.
Right. Big X the Plug.
Okay.
He's another rapper that's coming up.
Cool.
Got some pretty hype music. Young Dolph.
Okay.
So those are all my, I guess, rap.
Gym
Right.
Yeah, pump up songs. Nice.
I also listen to like dance club music almost.
Yeah.
Like Tiesto, stuff like that.
Sure.
That goes pretty hard in the gym.
Yeah.
At least the last max out that I did, I was blasting that.
Yeah.
The club music and stuff.
They can go hard.
Yeah. But I also dabble a little bit in country, folk music, stuff like that. Just kind of, for the enjoyment or for like studying, stuff like that.
Wind down type of stuff.
Wind down stuff, exactly. Yeah. So
That's great. That's good. Well rounded.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Last rapid fire. Not so rapid. That's all good. Sneakers. Favorite sneaker. Favorite shoe. Could be for the gym. Could be just in general.
Oh, I like, I guess the shoes that I really like, I wear Nike Air Max 97s, I think.
Okay.
All white.
Yeah.
Those are kind of my dress-up shoe, I guess. Right now, I've also got on some Air Force Ones. They're maroon colored, school colors. So I think they're pretty clean.
Is that Concordia?
Yeah.
Maroon? Yeah.
Yeah. I got them this fall. So
Nice.
yeah, they're whenever I'm given a talk and I gotta wear my maroon button up and some khakis, and then these are my dress up shoes for that. So
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I like that. And you are you a Nike guy in the gym too? With the lifting shoes? No.
So the shoes that I wear are Anta shoes. They're a Chinese brand.
Yeah. Yep. They're breaking into basketball a little bit right now too.
Yeah, I think they're mainly big in basketball. I think Klay Thompson's shoe.
Yeah, there's some big name players that are wearing
Anta
them.
shoe. Yeah. They're basically China's Nike.
Yeah, you see like the Chinese weightlifting team, they all have them on.
Right. But then also the singlet that I wore for the first time was Adidas.
Oh, yeah.
But that was just a singlet that, it's the same singlet that my coach wore.
Yeah.
And so trying to follow in his footsteps a little bit.
Phil?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's kind of, I wouldn't say it's a vintage singlet, but you don't see it around. So when I saw it, I had to get it.
Oh, totally.
I got it for a pretty good price, and I wore it, and it fits great. I think it looks great too. So
what more can you ask for?
Look good, feel good, lift good, right?
That's it. All right, so we're gonna get a little bit into the meat and potatoes. So I'm gonna give you a quick, I guess, introduction. So you have last time you came in, you were 5 times national champ for weightlifting. Now 6.
Yep.
With University Nationals.
Yeah, University Nationals took that one earlier this spring,
Nice.
2023. So
very cool. And can you still compete in that, or is that not Because with a master's program.
Yeah, as long
sweet.
as long as you're enrolled in any sort of like college university program, whether it's like a JUCO school, 2-year, 4-year masters, PhD, stuff like that, all the way up until they cap it at 25.
Gotcha.
So a lot of people are still in school and they're 28, 29 years old, and
Yeah.
I think that at that point is you try and keep universities as kind of like an extension of juniors.
Totally.
So up to 25.
I was looking at this, not this exactly, but similar the other day, like what are some of the oldest college football players? Because they have really weird rules, and
Right.
in the record book there's been some guys who are like 40, 50, 60 years old.
Yeah. Or I mean,
punters and stuff like that.
Right, guys who work a little bit, go back to school,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
still have college eligibility, and
Yeah.
they might not be in shape to be a running back, but they still punt.
Right. They can do something.
Right.
And then 4 times Team USA, junior Pan AMs Medalist,
Yep.
and still part of East Coast Gold weightlifting
Correct,
team.
yeah.
So at Concordia now, transitioning to BU soon.
That's right. Yeah.
Very cool.
Soon. I guess another thing too I could add to that is something new USA Weightlifting has been doing, is the All-American, like an All-American title.
Gotcha.
Basically, so at universities, they have a standard, a total that you have to hit in order to be named All-American. It's a little more of an extension of winning the national championship there, because there's a couple of guys in a weight class, maybe no one in another weight class that can win it. So about 20, 25 girls, 20, 25 guys, reach that total each year. So that's another cool title for a university level athlete to add.
So they just have a standard like cutoff, like if you get above this total.
For each weight class. Yeah.
Very cool. All right. And then I guess just to give a little recap on, and we talked mostly about this last time, so we don't have to dive into it too much, but how you got into weightlifting. And the one thing I do want to mention, because I tell people the story more often than you'd think about the weightlifting, I guess, culture as far as the high school goes, like in Minnesota.
Oh, right.
how big those meets are.
Right, yeah. So, I got my start freshman year of high school in Minnesota. I was in the weight room after my freshman football season, and the weight room coach was also like a strength coach for the team and all the other teams and stuff. Was like, hey, you've got the perfect body type for this. The practice starts next week. I hope to see you in here. So I was like, I don't have a winter sport. I'll try it out. Like I'll planned on being in the gym anyways during the winter, so I might as well try it out. And sure enough, I stuck with it, and I ended up stopping playing football. I wasn't that great at football. I was a backup fullback on the JV2 team, so I ended up stopping football after sophomore year, and then just used that time to basically split up baseball and weightlifting. Split up my years. But yeah, even competing in Minnesota at the high school level is pretty insane. Like some of the meets that we host, 2 platform meets, which in this area, like if Westerly hosts a meet, I think, and then some other places, probably Massachusetts, host local meets. It's a 1 platform meet.
Yeah.
And it's, a 1-day thing. You have 70 lifters come through, but our I guess my high school's home meet is 130 lifters. We need 2 platforms, and it takes all day. State meet is the same thing. 150 lifters in 1 day, 2 platforms. So it's a pretty big thing in high school in Minnesota, and there aren't really any other states that do it to that extent other than Texas and Florida.
Really?
So yeah.
I wonder how Minnesota ended up becoming like big for that with weightlifting.
I guess I wonder that too, because I know Minnesota does have like a rich history of weightlifting, and not necessarily pumping out like Olympic level athletes. There's a couple of Olympians, but like more so those the Olympians come from around the country, so it's not like per capita Minnesota has more Olympians coming up, but it's just such a rich culture and a rich history. Mostly due to Roger Sadecki, who was an Olympian himself, but he's known as the godfather of Minnesota weightlifting, and so he's really just throughout his whole life has kept it up, and he's really vouched for weightlifting at the in the high school level and the youth levels. A lot of schools use it as their strength program.
Sure.
Which is fantastic for football players, I think. And just other athletes. Maybe not. I've talked to other guys at my school who are in golf and swimming and stuff. They're like, I don't really see the point. I'm like, okay, I agree with you. Like you golf. Your goal isn't to, move sprint fast, stuff like that.
Right.
So, for the majority of high school sports, though, I think it's great and
very effective.
And it really just got started and it stuck around and grew in Minnesota is kind of how I see it.
That's cool. So essentially, you have one guy who's was super into it, was really good with it, coaching, athlete,
Right.
almost like maybe like a Dave Spitz, like in California.
Sure,
like
yeah.
it just grew a culture, like
Yeah,
like from there
exactly.
maybe.
From the ground up, basically. Like I imagine it started with a couple of high schools, and then gained interest from other schools, and eventually they built a statewide league out of it. So
That's very cool.
yeah.
We're gonna take a break just for a quick second. All right, and we're back. One last thing I wanted to touch on was the name of your guys' competition in high school.
Oh yeah, the Spud Thud.
The Spud Thud.
The Spud Thud.
Did you see I commented that on one of your posts recently?
I just saw that.
Was that from the? Was that
No, so that photo was from the state meet my freshman year, and that was actually
gotcha.
before the Spud Thud was a thing.
Oh, okay.
That started. Let's see. So the state meet was 2016, my first one. So 2017 was the first year that they do it, and they still do it.
Oh, cool.
Currently, I mean, they're on their. I guess this coming spring would be the 6th or 7th Spud Thud.
Cool. I love that.
But yeah, I mean, so our high school mascot was a spud. Probably one of the more unique names you see for a high school mascot. I mean, our high school was a potato.
Yeah.
That was the big brown suit walking around at basketball games, football games, and stuff.
I love that.
And so, I guess the same high school coach that got me into it, my sophomore year, second year of having the high school program for us, had gained enough, I guess, need for a bigger meet in the area from the schools, surrounding schools, and so we decided to, try and make it as big as possible, give it a name, and a name that obviously is going to fit, because, I mean, basically our weight room was on the second level.
Oh yeah,
was
okay.
a second level, just like this place that we're at.
Yeah, just like
Rise. So whenever you drop the bar, the room shakes. It's a big thud. And so when you're on that bottom level, which ends up being like the lobby going into the hockey rink that we have at our school.
Okay.
Whenever we're dropping weights, it's like a big thud coming down on top of you. So just being that the words rhyme, I think it's a great fit. So
That's a great name for it. I wanted to make sure we mentioned that again because it was worth it.
Right.
So let's get into current day. So you've transitioned now from juniors to seniors.
Yep.
So competing there, and we can talk about a little bit about how that transition is going. But I guess let's start with your most recent meet that you had was the North American Open Finals.
Yep.
Which took home second.
Yeah, so that's my highest placing at a senior meet to date. So I'm pretty happy with that.
And that just happened.
That just happened 2 weeks ago.
That's awesome.
Wait. No,
Sometime in December.
week and a half ago,
Was
I
it?
think. Yeah, it was December 9th. So yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
But yeah, that training for that meet was interesting.
Yeah.
Because coming off of nationals in the summer, in July, take some time off. My family, we visited Italy. I took a family
Nice.
trip there for 2 weeks, and so it was perfectly timed where I didn't really have any training obligations, or
Sweet.
I was able to extend my recovery time before I really got back into things.
Very cool.
Because of that. And I mean, part of that too is like, by the time we came back, I was 3-4 weeks out from not having lifted a weight.
Yeah.
Or really had a real training session. So that was a change. I've never taken that much time off.
Was it 3-4 weeks you said?
Yeah, 3-4 weeks
Yeah.
or so by the time we got back from Italy. And so, I mean, that for me really built up a lot of anticipation, a lot of hunger just to get back to training. So that was interesting.
How'd you feel your first week or so coming back into it?
Well, so we did our reactivation phase. And
Okay.
so it wasn't really a lot of Olympic lifting.
Okay, yeah.
So it was a pretty rad program that Phil had us on. It was a 6 days a week program. 3 days were some sort of strength focus. So high rep deadlifts, high rep safety bar squats, something like that, or trap bar. 3 days were on the rower.
Really?
And so just different variations on the rower, yeah, and then like bodybuilding and accessories sprinkled in between. So yeah, for the better part of I want to say 2 or so months, 8 weeks or so, I 3 days a week I was on the rower, and so
doing cardio,
basically doing CrossFit.
Yeah, literally.
So I mean, I know that stuff's good. I know how important building that aerobic capacity is, especially when you're training for a meet that's 5 months away. To try and build that base as good as possible. Build the base of the pyramid, basically, is how I put it. But I mean, one of those days was I want to say just a couple of 500 meter rows
Fast?
Yeah, try and finish them basically as fast as possible.
Cool.
So, I mean, 2,500 total meters in day one, or not 2,500.
1,000?
2,500.
Okay.
2,500.
Yeah.
And then it would have been like a barbell day, strength day, something. And then day 3 is another day on the rower, and that would be a 5K, just a straight 5K.
Oh, that's
and that was
miserable.
that was grueling. It was interesting though, because when I first started, I was like, damn, I gotta do a 5K,
Yeah.
and I got something like
Even rowers hate doing that.
right, yeah, I'm sure. And I got like 23 or 24 minutes on it, 22, something like that.
That's solid.
Which, yeah, I mean, I don't take that lightly, I guess. Even though I look at what the CrossFitters and the well-trained athletes are doing towards it, and it's like sub 18 minutes. I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
I'm not getting to that, but I have no reason to get to that, really.
Do you know what you were pulling for a split pace? Probably tough to think back into that.
Yeah, I think like 215.
Yeah.
For a 500.
Yeah.
But obviously, being as competitive and as determined as I am with myself as an athlete, I wanted to get that time like as low as possible.
Totally, yeah.
Because I had 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Basically, on this day, I got a 5K.
Yeah.
And so at first it sucked, but then eventually I looked forward to it. So I'm like, this is gonna be the day that I break 20. This is gonna be the day that I break 20. And so I got that down. I cut it down to 20 minutes 14 seconds was my best. So I wasn't able to break 20.
Close though.
Close. I was actually the second to last week that I did it. The very last week, I was on pace. So I knew if I wanted to break 20 in a 5K, I had to be basically a sub 2 split.
And
like
159 or something.
Yeah, and so I tried to keep that as much as possible. I got to like 4,200 meters, and my butt started cramping. And so I was like, I just couldn't row, and I had to take a break. And I was like, oh man, this is how we're gonna end it. But I knew kind of that was the limit, really, for me. And I'm not training to do a sub 18 on the rower, a 5K. So
right.
It was fun. Just
some fun off-season conditioning.
Yeah,
type
being
stuff,
competitive with myself is something I always try to push myself to do. So
cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's how training was to start it off.
Yeah,
and so really building that base as best as possible, and then, I mean, getting into the fall semester for me, kind of just the outlook on it with the classes I take with grad school and stuff. Some things happen, and I just can't really dedicate weightlifting has to be number 2.
Yeah,
basically when it comes to school and getting stuff sorted out. Like at that point, I knew it was like, dang, a year from now, I don't know where I could be.
Sure.
So try and try and figure stuff out basically. And fortunately, I was able to go to that nutrition conference and basically set a path for myself.
That's so cool.
To reach out for, and so that also helped. But then also having, my last hard senior class really for nutrition was my clinical experience class. I had to give a 40-minute seminar on a topic on how to provide nutrition therapy. So that was like my senior seminar basically. So that was a lot of preparation went into that. So it's like, spend days on campus just like researching stuff like that, or hours on campus for weeks on end researching things. And it's like, I look at the time, I'm like, dang, it's 8 o'clock. I don't really have time to train today.
Yeah.
So from that aspect, like weightlifting ended up taking, hitting the back burner a little bit. And fortunately at that point, like it was very coming off of the conditioning and everything, basically ended right as I started school again.
Yeah.
But then it was just super light, low intensity stuff. And even then too, is like, I'm stressing my body a lot mentally just through school and through other things going on. So I know that I'm not going to have as much going into the gym. So it's like, just take what I got in the gym. If I got to hit 70%, but only 65% is there, got to take the 65% and hope it moves well.
Yeah.
Or try and make it move as well as possible. And for me, it like adapting to that mindset of training. I wish it have came sooner than later, really, because it's a smart way to train to have to listen to your body like that.
Right.
And as my coach said, is you got to hit the stimulus for that day, whether that's at 70% or whether that's what's on program if it's 80%.
Right.
You got to listen to your body. You got to be able to be mindful of your movements and how things are moving, how your body feels and stuff, and just dial it back if you really need to. And for me, this semester with everything else going on, it was like, I really need to listen to my body if I want to be able to wake up tomorrow feel decent to be able to attack school, attack whatever's happening that day. So yeah, I mean, I had never trained like that before, honestly. Just being a younger athlete and being able to push every single day and get something out of every day and, continue to be competitive with myself like that in that aspect.
Sure.
But beating my body up like hell, really. So I was a lot more mindful with that. Looking more longevity with training and listening to my body.
That's huge.
I still say I have youth on my side.
Yeah.
Especially even looking at my competitors and stuff. But still being able to adapt that training mindset.
Totally.
Is going to take me, another 10 years in the sport. Whether I'm at a certain point or not, but like still be in the sport, still going to be able to bend over and pick up a barbell. It's going to be a plus. So
100%.
I mean, it's a new way to train for me, a new mindset. But as things kind of fell into place with the semester, as I finished up projects, I gave my seminar and stuff. Next thing I know, it's 4 weeks out from this meet. And to that point, I hadn't even hit like 90%.
Wow.
On really any of the lifts. And I was, at that point, I was like, I mean, even throughout the semester, I was like, I don't know if like it's really worth competing if this is how things are going to be.
Right.
But then sure enough, like the 4 weeks came around, I talked to some people, had, kind of a new spark for things. I was able to train with Morgan.
Nice.
And Wes too.
No
I was able to meet Wes. That was a pretty cool experience, and that honestly helped rekindle things a little bit for my motivations towards the sport.
Where did you guys train at?
Trained at Wes's gym, Be Somebody Gym.
Sweet. Where's that at?
It's in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was able to meet with him, talk through some things. I hit some pretty big lifts down there too. And so that, like I said, just kind of rekindled things.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, maybe I can still make this happen, because I knew going into it too, like, this is a total that I'm gonna have to hit if I want to try and move my way up the podium.
Yeah.
And so basically 4 weeks out is when things started to turn up on the program too. Starting to hit 90% lifts with good consistency, and things ultimately just ended up going really well. I hit a PR snatch at 155 kilos.
Nice. Is that in training?
In training, yeah.
Awesome.
So that was an all-time PR, and then I hit just shy of my PR on clean and jerk, but training at a much lighter body weight, I'd say pound for pound is a little more impressive.
155 is what in pounds? Let me see.
It's 341. Yeah, I got that one off the dome. Yeah.
And then what do you say for clean and jerk?
Clean and jerk, I did 188 in training kilos. Just 2 kilos shy of my best. But that's for 414, I think, in pounds. And so I've never been a big clean and jerk guy in training. Yeah.
414?
414, 415-ish. But yeah, so that was ultimately, that was 2 weeks out before the meet. And so like 4 weeks out, coming from 4 weeks out, I was like, man, I don't know if this is going to happen. And then, with some good faith and some support from my team and some friends and stuff like that to help motivate me, really got that fire back. And then 2 weeks out, I hit a big 343 total.
That's awesome.
And from there, I knew it was like, this is maybe a little bit more than I really need to end up winning. So I feel pretty good. And then, 2 weeks out, just taper right in, make sure the body feels good, and try and show up and show out. But that's not where it ends. That's not where it ends. So that's 2 weeks, just after Thanksgiving. I got very sick the week of the meet. I don't know what it was that I caught. I ended up having a fever at 103.
Wow.
2 days before I left. And I was still sick as a dog when I showed up there.
No way.
So that whole week, I think I only trained once. Because I knew, obviously, that was stressing my body pretty well.
Yeah.
I'd be fighting some sort of infection. And, I still had a fever going into the meet. I was deleting ibuprofens.
Was it helping?
It was really helping.
Nice.
Yeah, because I had just had a fever, headache, was terrible, and I was like, all right, I know this is gonna be really bad on my liver, but it's short term. It's fine. It's fine, Santo.
The liver heals pretty well.
Yeah,
in the long term.
Right. So yeah. So if I can shell out these ibuprofens for the next 3 days and keep the inflammation down as much as possible, but still, like, even when when I make it there 2 a.m. the day before I compete is when my flight ends up getting in, which kind of sucked. Got like 4 hours of sleep.
No way.
But fortunately, I had all day to like rest up and chill.
Yep.
I didn't have to compete until 8 p.m.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm there. I make weight. I was sick, so it wasn't hard to make weight because I was already. I came in pretty well underweight.
Really?
So if anything, I had to force down food the day that I competed.
Wow. Okay.
To make sure that I had like fuel for the day. That I wasn't.
Yeah.
I just wasn't like completely dry. So yeah, I start warming up. I don't feel too bad. I got some work done with USAW Medical there to help get my hips and my upper back stretched out and stuff, which. For me, it's a resource that I've been utilizing the past few meets, which is awesome.
Nice.
To help get me loose because there's some things that stretching myself just can't really hit.
Do they have that just complimentary for the athletes?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, they're there mainly if someone gets hurt on stage or if something happens. But if there's someone hanging out there, I go and ask like, hey, can you help me get my hips? My hips have always been bothering me, so can you get those stretched out? And they do a great job. And this lady in particular got me into the bottom position pretty comfortably with the snatch and clean jerk. So
nice.
And then all things considered too, with being sick and just being sore and fatigued, also being able to move like I did was pretty good.
Awesome.
And yeah, so I mean, warming up, even though I was had just scarfed down 800 milligrams of ibuprofen, I was still like overheating.
Yeah.
I could feel myself overheating. So I mean, I knew this was going to happen. I had like an ice pack, and so in between attempts, I'd be sitting down. I put the ice pack on the back of my head, and I would just kind of try and cool down as much as possible. So yeah, I was fighting, man. I was fighting a lot of things.
You had a Jordan game.
Pretty much.
Like
That's what Morgan was there too. He's like, it's gonna be a Jordan flu game, Santo.
And it was.
Sure, yeah. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
I'm
pretty happy with how things turned out. So, I only hit one snatch, which has been a pretty common occurrence for me recently. Unfortunately,
Was the first one?
Yeah, first one
Nice.
I hit a 147, which is 2 kilos more than I've ever opened with.
There you go.
I knew coming into it, I was like, one, I'm sick. I'm not gonna have a lot of strength for clean and jerks, so
Yeah.
got to try and get as much out of the snatch. So I pushed the snatch. Like I had just hit a 155, and so the goal was to go 147, 151, which would have been a comp PR, 151, and then go right to 155 to try and gain as big of a lead as possible. Because I knew there was some guys in the field that might snatch 150, some guy in the low 50s, but if I could finish a couple kilos ahead that way, I would be, in the driver's seat going to clean and jerks with who knows what could happen, being that I just came off of 103-degree fever.
When was your fever? Was it literally the day before?
So it was 2 days before I had to fly out. So it was like Wednesday. I guess, yeah, this is like going into the meet. The Wednesday I wake up, Tuesday was an off day. Wednesday I wake up and I feels like I just got hit by a bus. I'm like, what is going on? I didn't do anything yesterday.
Yeah.
And then I try and stand up and I'm like dizzy and stuff. And I'm like, my head's burning. I'm like, oh boy, we're not going to class today. We're not training for a little bit. We got to figure this out. So yeah, I mean, it really helped the mindset that I had taken going into the meet with listening to if I was me 1-2 years ago, I would have tried to hit the lifts that I needed to on that day, no matter what, even if it was like 85%,
Yeah.
or 70%. But I decided man, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
I've got to give my body the best chance to recover
Sure.
from it. So yeah, so that was Wednesday. Thursday, I'm able to pull it together and go to class still.
Nice.
And then Friday is when I fly out. And so that's when I was like, all right, we're gonna put down some melatonin, some ibuprofen, some ibuprofen to try and feel something or feel less.
Yes,
I guess.
Yes.
And I get in at 2 a.m. the following day, and then I compete Saturday at 8 p.m. So it was
just nonstop.
It was quite the few days, if you will.
And then you hit your snatch.
Yeah, only hit one snatch. 2 kilos more than I've ever opened with, because I was feeling, if there was anything I was feeling good with, it was with the snatches.
Yeah.
Which is funny how it turns out, because I only hit one. Doesn't even medal 147, which is wild in my weight class nowadays, that 147 doesn't medal for a snatch, which is good news.
Right.
Good news for the U.S. and for the 96s, which is wild. I think the medals went 153. Yeah, 153 Lane Palm had for gold.
Where's he compete at, do you know?
Lane Palm, he's with Bear Barbell in Texas.
Cool.
He won senior nationals.
Gotcha. Okay.
This summer in Colorado, in July. So he took gold in the snatch. Jamarius Williams, I think he's from Georgia or South Carolina area.
Okay.
Not that he came out of nowhere, but I think this is my first time competing with him.
Okay.
He's younger like me. He's a tremendous snatcher, and so he came out with a 151, which was
Nice.
was pretty awesome. And then 148 was third. That was from Daniel Dodd, and then it was my 147 in fourth,
all
which
right there.
which is it was very tight, and it's coming from even just looking at like the past few years in the weight class, like other than Nathan Dameron, there hasn't really been anyone that's been pushing 150 or so, and so having that many guys that close makes for a really fun meet.
Yeah. A lot of back and forth in the back
Right?
room.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, I took the attempts to try and gain some kilos and take a medal in the snatch, and it just didn't end up happening. I mean, how I look at it, I missed 151 out front. I just didn't stay over the bar enough, didn't extend vertically enough, cut the pull short, and just kind of didn't have enough steam on the bar.
Yeah.
And then Jamarius comes out and hits 151. I'm like, Coach, I can do 152. Like, I'm ready for 155, but if 152 is what it's going to take, then it's what it's going to take. And I pull under that one. But just being on so much ibuprofen, like the fine motor skills, I feel like, and just the focus and just everything else going on with whatever ibuprofen does to your body, like I just didn't quite have that stability.
Yeah.
And so, I kind of got squished under it. I tried to stand up, and the bar was drifting back, and then I missed it behind. So that point I was like, dang, like I'm gonna have to clean and jerk. But I mean, this is kind of what I say. It's the American way.
Yeah.
You hit one snatch, you got to come back and hit 3 clean and jerks, basically.
Okay.
Just because the U.S. compared to all other nations in the world are just really far behind on snatch, like ratios to strength. Technically, yes. I mean, looking at the best snatchers in the world, they come from China, Uzbekistan, areas like that where obviously they train a lot more than we do in the U.S. Like they have
professional,
right?
Government sponsored.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they get paid to train. They have their training centers, and they live on site, stuff like that, and they're training 2-3 times a day.
Yeah.
5-6 days a
full-time
week.
job.
Right. Yeah. And so obviously with the reppage that they have on snatches, being that's a very technical lift.
Right.
I think that's where it comes from. And from the U.S., we take, I guess, more of a biometric approach to it, and trying to try and optimize it as best as possible for them. But I mean, ultimately, if you don't get the reps, you don't have the success.
Right.
Not to dog on you, because there's some great snatchers in the U.S.
Totally.
But like just looking at the numbers, like I feel like that's really hard to deny.
Yeah.
And that's just like the state of the sport in the U.S. compared to the rest of the world.
And I mean, that's just been the case for the past 10, 20 years. Essentially, we've been kind of the underdogs in weightlifting, just compared to, and for the reasons you mentioned, and for other reasons,
for a number of other reasons too. Yeah.
Which is I feel like it's getting closer. That gap is getting closer and closer. I mean, you see people like who is it? Our ladies, is it 102 plus category? The heavyweight lady?
87 plus.
87 plus?
Was it?
I can picture her. I forget her name, but she took home a medal in the last Olympics.
Sarah Robles.
Yeah,
Sarah Robles. Yeah,
so she's been taking some medals home for us. So we're closing the gap a little bit for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I mean, even just looking at the ladies who are coming up right now, this next Olympics.
Sure. Which is coming up soon.
Yeah, Mary Thiessen Lappin just took a kilo over Sarah in the rankings.
Oh, really?
And so she's currently our 87 plus.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And she's a former thrower. She's an athlete out of Indiana with one kilo.
Wow.
She's incredibly strong. She's like a low 120 snatcher, and she's got the American record clean and jerk at 163.
Wow.
Which is insane for an 87 plus in the U.S.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously you've got Maddie Rogers fighting for a spot.
Yep.
Kate Vibert, Olivia Reeves, where Olivia Reeves currently has that edge.
Cool.
On Kate Vibert in the 71s. I mean, this past meet she set junior world records, senior American records and stuff. So yeah, she's tremendous.
And the men's side too is Will Westby representing again? Is it?
So I just looked at those rankings for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Currently, because only the top 10 in each weight class go.
Sure.
If you cut top 10, cutting out, like if a country has 2 guys,
Sure.
country can only take 1, so the guy in second is disregarded.
Right.
So top 10 guys, per country. The only guy that's in it right now is Hampton Morris, 61 kilos.
Gotcha. Okay.
He's out of Georgia.
Yep.
He's got a 292 total at 61, which is wild.
Yeah.
And I think he's sitting in 9th or 10th right now.
Wow. Okay.
Nathan Dameron, 89. He's got a 370 up there. He just got booted down, so he's in 11th. So he currently doesn't hold a spot.
Gotcha.
And then Wes also just got booted down at 102. He's got a 379 total, I want to say.
Gotcha.
At 102.
Gotcha.
So those are the 3 guys that are currently the closest. There's
Sure.
still Ryan Grimsland, North Carolina, 73, who's got a 330-ish total, I think. But in that weight class, in order to break 3, he's going to need my best total, really. Something in the high 330s.
Sure.
To get through there at 73, which is insane. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's got it in him. I think every single guy that I just mentioned,
They
has
can do
something. They can do it.
That's cool.
But men can only take 3.
Right.
So three out of those 4 are going to be going to Paris next summer.
So who has it? Who has the bids right now for?
Currently, Hampton Morris is the only one.
He's the only one
who holds like an automatic spot.
Gotcha. Everything else is going to be depending on like what.
Yeah, 'cause
future meets or.
Yeah, so there's two more events to qualify for Paris next spring. You've got the Continental Championships and then the IWF World Cup, which is the last event to qualify for. So that's where everyone is going to be trying to put up their best totals.
So that's going to be a great meet.
It could be either be a really great meet or a really bad meet because you're going to have, you're going to have some guys who are, maybe in that 5 through 15th rank range in their weight class, and they've got to hit a certain total. So they've got to open high and they've got to make their list, but when you open too high, you miss that.
Bomb out.
You bomb out, exactly. And there's gonna be a lot of reds, unfortunately. So you have to.
Be an exciting meet.
It'll be exciting for sure. Yeah. If the guys hit their lifts is what it really ultimately comes down to. And if you got to be able to take the smart attempts to, one, be conservative enough on your first attempt, to be able to smash it, to build momentum into your second and third attempts.
Sure.
I think is just the most important thing with snatch and clean and jerk.
Yeah.
Hitting that opener and letting things ride out from there and
Totally.
Once you hit your first attempt, it's like so much weight off your chest.
Yeah.
Really. So if you can do that and build some momentum, I think that's important. But there's some guys that go out there who open up like 5 kilos below their best competition numbers, and it's like if it's there on that day, it's there, but it might not be much more than that. Yeah. And if it's not there, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So
you're like, all right, I got 2 more attempts to try to hit that.
Yeah. So ultimately, it's going to come down to whoever has the better day, whoever's having a great day, and then whoever can lift their lifts.
So backtracking to your most recent meet. So we talked about the snatches. We didn't talk about clean and jerks yet.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, so coming off the snatch, I was like, man, another 1 for 3 day on snatches, but we're still within 6 kilos from first place. Mm-hmm. And I still knew I had a little something going with the clean and jerks. Still fighting sore throat and stuff, and so that rack position isn't ideal. We only took a few attempts in the back to warm up to my opener.
Really?
Just because I knew I didn't want to be too fatigued.
Sure.
It's a less technical lift. It's more grip and rip and then dip and shoot, basically. It's a lot more technical than that to think
like
about
that
it.
analogy,
But
though.
yeah. So, man, we went like 6 warm-up attempts, basically. I went from like 70 kilos to 100 kilos, 125, 150, 165, 173. So yeah, 6 warm-up attempts is all I took in the back, which for some guys is pretty typical. Some guys you'll see taking 10 attempts, and I was only doing 1 rep.
Yeah.
Some guys will take a few reps.
Yeah.
Just because I knew it was like, one, I got to make this rep be really good and really convincing for me to have confidence to go on to the next warm-up attempt.
Sure.
Because I knew I was only taking 1. I wasn't going to fatigue myself more.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I get tired. Excuse me. I hit my last, or I don't hit my last warm up. My 170, my 173. The cleans were fine. The cleans were moving. But I mean, just being kind of spaced out, being on so much ibuprofen, everything else going on. The jerk wasn't that great, and I wouldn't have called it a make. Like,
Okay.
I kind of got it up there and I walked it forward, but I didn't exactly control it. But I kind of got to that point where I was like, okay, I got it up there. I'm not going to waste time and energy to try and save it. So I just kind of left it.
Yeah.
So I missed my last warm-up attempt.
Yeah.
But I was still like, I still had the mindfulness to be like, I mean, I've hit that before. I'm going to go out and hit this opening attempt that I've hit, several times already coming up to this meet. So, at that point, it's a sit and wait game until it's my time to go out there. And yeah, from there on out, clean and jerks went pretty darn great.
Yeah.
I would
Did you hit
say
all three of them?
I hit all three.
Nice.
I took 178, which is not the most I've opened with, but it's kind of most in recently
Sure.
that I've opened with.
It wasn't a conservative opener.
I'd say somewhat conservative, but,
Okay.
but still pushing it.
Okay. Okay.
Conservative enough with the field of guys that I was working with, that I was
Okay.
competing with. So I go out for 178. I smoke it. And I'm like, damn, where was that? My last warm-up attempt. And I was like, all right, we might have a little something in the bag today. That didn't feel too bad. We go back. We got a total up basically. So we got goal one. We totaled. Got that over with. And
Takes the pressure off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And sit and wait for a little bit because I mean the mindset going to clean and jerks was we got to take we're gonna take bigger jumps. Get something on there, but then take the jumps that we need to be competitive with in the total. So I take a jump to 184, which is exactly 405, I think, in pounds. And that had me sitting for a little bit. So I went back and took like another pull. At something pretty light just to stay warm because I was sitting for 10, 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at that point I was rolling. I go out there and take 184. That put me in second at the time because Lane had just hit a 182 clean and jerk.
Yep.
And totaled 335. That's all he would have ended up hitting was the 182. So 335 at that point was first. That 184 put me in second.
Sure.
And as things kind of played out from there, I was like, at that point I had basically secured a medal.
Yeah.
I secured a spot on the podium, and so I had to sit and wait to see how things played out. Wait to see where Lane goes with his third attempt. And he ended up missing that, and so 189 was the number that I needed to beat Lane by 7 in the clean and jerk to make up for the 6 kilo deficit I had in the snatch.
Yeah.
Because he was currently in first. But then also not to forget about Daniel Dodd, who's a kilo ahead of me, who's also got 188 on the bar to try and surpass Lane to kilo him. He ends up missing the 188, and honestly, that was kind of worst case scenario for me because that means that I had to go out there. He still had another attempt to either match or go up.
Sure.
So I ended up taking, my last attempt at 189. It was a fight on the jerk to say the least, but I mean that's nothing new for me when I get to those very peak weights in clean and jerk.
I watched that video and I'm like, wow, you fought that way to the top.
I fought, and even thinking back to it now, I was like, I don't really know what happened after I cleaned the weight. I had the dip and drive, and then I knew I had to scramble a little bit with the weight, and next thing I know, I'm like, oh, got to get my feet together.
Yeah.
And then I was so wired in, I couldn't hear the judges at all.
Yeah.
I had to, on my first snatch, I had to wait because I don't know. Normally there's a light box that goes off with an arrow that says down. I don't know if that was working, but then they also have a buzzer that goes off.
Okay. Yeah.
I couldn't really hear the buzzer. Just what was going on. Like that's kind of the state of locked in that I was in.
Yeah.
And so, I have that bar overhead. I don't hear anything, and I look to the judges, and they're like, they signal to me down with their hands. I'm like, give a nod, and then like I slam the weight. I was hype. Yeah, I was hype. I came off. East Coast Gold, the squad had a bunch of people who had already competed in the crowd that were yelling and cheering me on, and so I knew I had to give them a little something. I point to them and I give them a little roar.
Yeah.
And then come off and I'm like, Phil, let's go. And I go up and I jump into his arms, give him a hug, and it was hype. Yeah, it was incredibly hype. And I knew at that point it still wasn't secured, but for a couple of minutes there I had first place.
Wow.
And I mean I knew that's all I could have done.
Yep.
To that point.
Yep.
And so whatever else happens, like Daniel Dodd still had one more attempt.
Yep.
To try and beat me at that point now, and also take gold in the clean and jerk, and he came out with 190, and he smoked. He made it look a lot better than my 189.
Yeah.
And as much as it sucks to come in second, I knew that what I did was as much as I could have done.
Totally.
And I'm content with that. I'm happy with that. I pushed him to take a crazy PR jump and smoke that 190.
Did he PR?
Yeah, it was a pretty
wow.
tremendous PR for him. And man, that was a great moment for him.
Yeah.
Obviously to hit that, the second he came off the stage, I was like, dude, that was awesome. I don't care that he just beat me. It was man, that's good for him, good for me, good for the weight class.
You guys all push each other to get better.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like I said, the podium was the same. Yeah. Here at the same three guys at nationals. Yeah. It was Lane, Daniel, and me for second, third. Mm-hmm. This time it was Dan, me, Lane for second, third.
Wow.
So I mean we're just shuffling. we're pushing each other, and it ultimately ends up on who's gonna have their day on that day. So
that's really cool.
That was a pretty, I don't know. I guess for me, I matured a lot.
Sure.
Just as an athlete,
during that meet,
during that training cycle, how I approach things and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I at this point too, I feel pretty settled in as a senior athlete.
Cool. Cool.
And you said we were going to talk about this also coming off of juniors and stuff.
Yeah.
Because hey, guess what? This is my second year as a senior athlete.
Yep.
And I mean that step up from juniors is
it can be tough.
It can be really tough. Yeah. I mean a lot of guys end up prioritizing school. They're like, I'm not at that level yet as a senior, and so they take time off or they leave the sport altogether and focus on school or have other aspirations and stuff. But I mean, I stuck with it. I just love the sport, man.
Yeah.
And so I knew it's it's not going to be instant that I'm going to be at the top because having a 320 total as a junior at 96 is pretty darn good.
Sure.
As a junior. But then a 320 total as a senior doesn't really play.
Right.
Because going to my first nationals, 320 wasn't even the podium.
Wow.
At nationals, and now we're at the point where you need 330s.
Yeah.
To hit the podium, and now I'm also at that point where I can put that together on stage at least. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, just overall, when I was a junior, it was like meet after meet. I was young. I can hit a PR every single meet if I wanted. if I wanted to, basically, I was like, hey, we're gonna do this on this day, and we're gonna hit it. Cool. Basically, it's kind of how that went. You almost feel invincible just being a young athlete like that, growing. And I feel like it's the same in any other sport too, where you can, you can sniff a weight and get stronger, basically.
Yep. You got age on your side at that point,
right,
which you still do, but in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. And then just transitioning to seniors where you're not necessarily competing as much. You're not going to be on Team USA for a bit.
Yep.
With where things stand and how you rank against the others.
Totally.
And so it's like you really only have 2-3 dates, calendar dates on the year where you compete towards. And before it was like, all right, I only need 4 to 6 weeks to get ready for a meet, and then completely transitioning to, all right, here's a 16-week cycle to get you ready for a meet. We're gonna condition you. We're gonna build strength. Go through all the hypertrophy power, speed phases, all that stuff. And so, I mean, it was a change for me, and it was, I mean, I had to kind of find a new love for the sport in a way, and for the process, and I knew that's what it takes.
Yeah.
And just learning that I'm not invincible, really.
Change your mindset.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're all human. And I think being with Phil, being the athlete that he's been, and just his approaches towards training is gonna take me a lot more than the quick gains. In a 5-year period, instead of being able to stay healthy for another 10, 15 years, hopefully.
100%.
And so that's the mindset now. I still obviously have aspirations to hit that Team USA level again. And it's going to take a lot, and it's going to take, maybe a little bit of luck on my side for that to happen again. But I mean, with like the Olympic qualification stuff going on, like, those guys have just a motivator like no else, and that's going to push them like no else to make those further gains for them.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've just gotta stick to the plans, basically.
Yep.
Is all it's about, being a senior athlete, and now that I've learned to listen to my body and stuff like that, be able to turn things on when I need to.
Totally.
Really is what it's about.
And it's cool too. Like, I mean, obviously, with the senior athletes, you're competing against. We just off air. We just looked at the list of like. I'm like, yeah, I've been in the sport for a while. I'm not in so much in the sport now. I'm doing a lot of CrossFit, but I'm like an old head, and like I know some of these guys who are like oh, like your 96 category class. You got, I mean, Nathan Damron. Mm-hmm. You got was it Rob Blackwell? Has been in the sport for a while. Yep. Dylan Cooper. Mm-hmm. They're all in the same class as you, and it's cool being, and like you're saying, you train with West Kit, so it's like you're training with Olympians.
Yeah. I mean, that's obviously a great motivator and a great great thing to have, a great experience to have. Yeah, I mean, some of those names they're still in. I know, like Rob Blackwell has kind of been just here and there. I guess just competing every once in a while. Dylan Cooper, he's now moved up to 102.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. He's still going hard. He's, I guess, PRing again after several years after coming out from Cal Strength and coming off of injuries and stuff.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'd say he's back.
That's cool.
He's still got a little bit of age on his side too. He coaches, and he's very active in weightlifting still. So
yeah,
I think that's good to see.
Yeah,
for sure.
And Damron's been crushing it as he has been forever.
Right? Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess looking at this class in years past, like it's really been, man, it's been like Damron was a 96, and you got Phil and you had Jason Bonnick. Like those were the 96s, right? Of those days.
Yep.
And I think, because the last time, because this last meet, like it took a 3:35 total to hit the podium at AO finals, which is insane. And we haven't had, like, the 96 kilo class hasn't had that ever since Phil and Bonnick had last competed, a couple of years ago. So
it's right back up there.
Yeah, right back up there. Because I mean, I guess with like the Olympic weight classes and stuff, being that 96 wasn't an Olympic class for this quad, like 89 and 102 are the weight classes that are going to be a lot more competitive.
Sure. Okay.
The way that you look at it. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Do they switch it, or is that just like that's how it's going to stay?
It's going to be, well, it's going to be, it'll stay that way for the Olympics next year.
Sure.
But after that, it's really who knows, because for Tokyo 96 was a weight class, and then it went to 109.
Interesting.
Instead.
Okay.
So, I mean, the weight classes stay the same, but the Olympic weight classes
have changed.
Have been changing, yeah. So
interesting.
Who knows? Maybe they'll completely switch the weight classes again after this one. Maybe it'll stay the same. Ultimately, I think it depends on what the IOC, the Olympic Committee,
right?
What they give the IWF as how many athletes they can send to the Olympics, based on, I mean, because it's been going down,
right?
The past 10 or so years with
doping
and stuff like that, and all these scandals and. Excuse me. I mean, drug testing it's interesting.
Yeah.
Just to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you see a lot of guys get popped, and you're like, oh, it's a good thing. It's working.
Right.
But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword, because it's like, oh, what else? Who else is doping? Who else is there to pop?
Right.
I mean, if it's working now, like, who's kind of flying under the radar still.
Right.
So yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Like a lot of guys are getting popped throughout the world and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is tough to see, but it's working. I guess it's a glass half full, glass half empty type thing, depending on how you look at it. But
yeah,
the IOC, I don't think they quite see it as a good thing that so many people are getting popped. And so
it's like, yeah, you see it as like, oh, this is cleaning up the sport,
right?
But the IOC's like, look how much they're cheating,
right?
Essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, there's a lot more doping cases in this sport compared to any others.
Right.
I mean, that's just the nature of the sport,
right?
Nature of being competitive.
Sure. Yeah.
So. But I mean, just because of that, they haven't been giving as many athlete slots
right.
for the sport, and so
As
they
like
have
a penalty for it.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
And so they have to cut weight classes, change the weight classes around, because to have a competitive, I think the quota is 120 male, 120 female
Okay.
for Olympic weightlifting, and so it's like you could have, your full 10 weight classes. No, it's 120 total.
Okay.
So 60 male, 60 female.
Sure.
So you could have all 10 weight classes, but you're going to have 6 in each weight class that can qualify. That's not very competitive, and you can't really fill a full session of 6 athletes. You normally have 10 to 15 athletes in a session. And granted, they'll be the best in the world at that weight class.
Right.
But it's just like, just not much opportunity for other people in that weight class from other countries.
Yeah, yeah.
So basically, they picked 5 weight classes out of the 10 for male and female, and they're going to send 12 in each weight class. It's kind of how it goes.
Gotcha.
So depending on how things look after the Olympics and kind of the mindset that the IOC has towards weightlifting, they could completely ditch weightlifting from the Olympics.
Right.
I know there was already talks of that.
Which is so wild because they just need to figure out how to fix it because
Right.
it's such an Olympic sport. If
It'd be
it's
hard
OG.
to see. Yeah, it'd be hard to see. It's one of the first Olympic sports.
And they have like ping pong in the Olympics now.
Right,
Like, how
yeah,
could you take out
exactly.
weightlifting?
Yeah.
But
Right.
I get what they're trying to do is like trying to like they need to have some sort of penalty for
Right.
not following the rules. So this is
Yeah.
what they've chosen as a penalty. But like. It's tough because the U.S. I feel like, and we talked about this very briefly last time, but I think it's good for people to hear too. Is like the U.S. I feel like has done a really good job of keeping athletes clean.
Very, yeah.
Like
I would say
USADA
so.
has done an incredible job because of how regimented they are with their drug testing. Like,
Yeah, and other countries just don't have a domestic testing service that's as rigorous as USADA is in the U.S., where they test them randomly and stuff outside of competition.
Yeah. They might not have anything. They might not test them at all. The country might be just actively trying to figure out ways to give them PEDs and then find a ways to get around the drug testing. It's just
exactly
the exact opposite.
Yeah. So I think there is the worldwide testing service that does go in and test athletes randomly.
Yeah.
But obviously,
WADA?
I think now it's the ITA, International Testing Agency.
Okay.
But they still send their samples to like the WADA labs and stuff to get tested. But obviously, dealing with the entire world, it takes a lot more resources to send these agents to go test someone in Iraq or in China or where else you have to send these guys to hop on flights just to collect samples.
Right.
Versus in the U.S., it's pretty not a distance to travel for some people. So it's a lot easier to collect samples in that aspect. So it takes a lot more resources at the world level.
Yeah.
But it's necessary.
It's tough.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that hopefully it continues to be Olympics because that's good for the sport. It's good for everyone. But I mean, I guess it's not the end of the world too if the Olympics says, hey, you're out. Maybe like next summer, it's a one-time ban or something like that. Whatever they decide is then they essentially Worlds would become the Olympics for.
Yeah.
That'd be the highest level of competition.
Right. Yeah, and I think, weightlifting is already set up where you get awards and stuff at Pan AMs and Worlds and stuff, and the Olympic Games is just like the pinnacle of it all.
Sure. Sure.
But without the Olympics, I think the sport is still set up to have the support and to have the fan base that they do around the world.
Totally.
If you just cut out that one event, there's still the World Championships every single year.
Right.
The Pan American Championships every single year. You got like Pan Am Games, stuff like that every 4 years. So there's still going to be some love for the sport, but obviously it would be a big change without it in the Olympics. It would suck. Probably take another sport like powerlifting or strongman or something like that and put it in the Olympics.
Which is wild because those are pretty openly like most people are on PEDs with those sports, especially at the highest level.
Yeah, I suppose strongman might not have been a great one to put in just because just the nature of their sport. They don't really test, and that's just how they do it.
Right.
But I guess powerlifting would probably be.
I guess it depends on the federation too. But
yeah.
Yeah, very interesting stuff.
Right.
Well, I won't keep you too much longer. So I'll let you get out of here. I'm sure you get stuff to do being back home. Been great convo so far. Let's just finish up with. I just want to make sure we hit it. What's been your big lifts recently? Snatch, clean and jerk, and total in training, and then best.
Yeah. So I guess we mentioned it before. I hit that 155 snatch in training.
Yep.
That was a all-time PR.
Awesome.
training or competition. That was a number I've been fighting with for a while too.
Nice.
So pretty happy to have a great day and be able to hit that in the gym. Sucks that I wasn't able to put on the bar in competition, but I mean, it's just the way things play out.
Yeah.
Just gotta be better.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, still very happy to have that and to know that that's what's in the tank. You know, if I do step on the platform, that's what I have, what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
See, clean and jerks still all time is 190.
Nice.
I did that a year ago.
Nice.
I guess last time we talked it was
Yeah.
190.
Yeah.
So yeah, at 190 I did that last November, 2022. So is that 419 pounds, I think. I did that at our East Coast Gold Camp, our training camp, before AO Finals last year. So that was a great time. That was a good day to hit that. And then all time total, I've hit it twice. In training is 343.
Very cool.
First time was a 153 and that 190, and then second time was with the 155 and the 188.
Wow.
We talked about before. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
I mean, I know that day that I'm able to put together a 340 on the platform is there.
Yeah.
Within the next year, hopefully. Just hopefully to be able to come in shape and feeling good and be able to put it together.
Sweet.
But yeah, and this past meet I totaled 336, so that would be my best competition total to date.
Awesome. And then any comps coming up?
So I'm currently registered for the Arnold again for universities.
Cool.
This is not an event that our team really focuses on because we really look at nationals and then AO finals to really split things up bi-yearly. But the Arnold's just fun for me to be able to compete for a university national championship. And I mean, first and foremost, my brother qualified for it. It'll be his first national meet.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
Regardless, I've got to be there to watch him in Columbus,
Yep.
Whether I'm competing or not. But one thing I am excited for with that event is they do the Rogue stage. It's a showcase stage, so you've got 1,200 athletes that are qualified for this event altogether at the Arnold. Normally, it's in like a ballroom kind of off to the side, and not a lot of people go through and watch that. But what Rogue does with USA Weightlifting is they do a showcase stage. I guess they kind of just handpick some of the highest entries or some of the strongest athletes that are entered, and put them in the session in the expo in front of thousands of people that are walking through. And so the past few years I've been hoping, like, man, I know I'm not there, but I hope that I might get lucky and get picked for it. But I think now this is truly my time to finally get on the Rogue stage. So, if I get that invite for it, I'll definitely want to compete.
That'd be cool.
Because just with the nature of Olympic qualifying and stuff, there's not a lot of those guys who are far ahead of me that are competing at this event. They've got other things to worry about with Pan AMs and stuff. So that gives me the opportunity. So if I can do that, that'd be pretty fun. Being able to probably compete in front of the biggest crowd that I ever have before. And if things go well, put up some big numbers. And I know, not saying that it's going to happen this time, but like in my time as a university athlete, like there's American records that are at stake too. For university athletes only.
Yeah.
And that's something that not a lot of people get being a junior.
Right.
Or being just a senior athlete who's not like in college.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who end up going to college kind of put weightlifting to the side.
Right.
So
right. This balance.
Yeah, exactly. But this is an opportunity for me to try and get another accolade to my name basically, and that's something that's pushing me going forward for the next few years hopefully. But
cool.
it has to be set at universities.
Yeah.
At university national, can't do it at like senior nationals or anything like that.
Got to in order for it to count.
Right. So got a couple more years to look at those, and that's one thing that keeps me going back to the Arnold really is that and the strength stage. So fingers crossed I can get invited to that, and then also hopefully that my brother has a good day competing in his first national meet too. It'd be pretty exciting for him and for Dave and Providence Barbell Club to have him there for a national meet. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and then aside from that, it's going on to senior nationals in Pittsburgh next summer.
Oh, that's not too far.
Yeah, not too far from here. It's good because my team has a gym out there as well.
Oh, nice.
Pittsburgh Fitness Project.
Okay.
Tom Dewar runs that. My teammate runs that gym, and so they'll be pretty hands on with the event and stuff. And
cool.
It'll be pretty exciting time for the area to have it there. So
awesome.
Yeah, just near future. That's what it is.
Cool.
and I always have that goal of making Team USA again.
Yeah.
So if things are going really well these next 6 months, post Olympics. So usually the World Championships post Olympics are always very not great, because you've got so many people that are competing at the Olympics and they take time off. You just did the Olympics. You don't have to do the World Championships. So, I mean, again, that gives, someone younger like me.
Yeah.
I've talked to Morgan about this. I know there's a lot of other juniors. EJ Hines, another name to keep a look for. Just won Junior Worlds. That aren't on that Olympic track, but are still very high-level athletes in the U.S. So 2024 Worlds at the end of the year would be basically just my next goal, I guess, if you will, to make Team USA. And that would be a senior team, and that would be number 5, hopefully. So
yeah,
coming soon.
See how the year goes.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Still gotta just gotta stay healthy. And,
yeah. Yep.
Keep on the straight and narrow, basically.
Yeah, really cool. And I guess just a sidebar on that. Now that you're junior, you're senior. You're senior at Concordia.
Yep.
So this coming year, will you be starting your master's program in this coming year in 2024, or is it?
Yeah. So next fall would be the start of that program.
Oh,
basically,
okay.
Fifth year of school.
Yeah.
I graduate next May
Yep.
with my bachelor's in food nutrition dietetics.
Nice.
And then I'll essentially just have that summer off. That'll be nice for me going into nationals. Not having too many obligations, just
right.
be able to
That's
train
what I was
and have
trying to
fun.
get at.
No matter, I don't know, if I'll still be in the area with friends, or if I'll be
Right.
back at home here training with the people here.
Yep.
But then I start that next fall would
Cool.
be the start of the master's program. So, if things play out great and I'm on, I'm still competing next fall.
Yep.
It's gonna be probably a little bit tougher to balance it, being now that I'm in grad school versus undergrad. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I know what it takes to turn things on for me now. I know what it takes to be able to train smart and still balance life and stuff. And I mean, that's something that I still struggle with, is just balance.
Sure.
Really.
Sure.
I mean, not trying to pay too much attention to one thing, or to weightlifting, or to school, or to
Right.
social life, stuff like that. So,
Right.
I mean, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
it's it's a journey, man.
Yeah. I mean, you've had some good practice, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, some good experiences. So
Yep. All right, cool. So I guess we'll wrap up. Anybody or anything else you want to shout out as far as, like, I saw you're doing some training right now, right? Do you on your Train Heroic app? Are you coaching?
Yeah. So I have a couple of athletes that I coach.
Cool.
I can shout them out right now.
Yeah.
Connor Heinz, he's my longest tenured athlete right now. He won 3rd at junior nationals at 102, so that's awesome for him. Leke, we just call him Leke. He's a spud. Graduated last year, and he's sticking with the sport, sticking with me. So him, Brooklyn Johnson, she's also one of my newer athletes, former spud as well. And Ken Quinto is a guy that I picked up from Crunch Fitness, basically, who started weightlifting, and found me on Instagram, hit me up, and now we're coaching. Now we're pretty good friends. So
Awesome.
yeah, I
Really
mean,
cool.
those are the guy I train with. Ken a little bit. I train with Connor for the most part at the gym. So yeah, I
Cool.
mean, just good group of people to have. I mean, it's a small group, and it's just something I kind of do off to the side. It keeps me engaged in the sport in a different aspect, just being a coach and kind of like athlete monitoring, stuff like that. So
That's cool.
It's fun to dabble with, for sure.
I like that. And then I'm gonna leave you with the last question. I asked you this question last time, and I didn't get to the end of the podcast when I was listening earlier, so I'm not sure what you said last time, but it's the billboard question.
Okay.
So favorite, like, quote, mantra, or just in general, like a saying. So the way I describe it is, you're driving up Route 95.
Yeah.
Or what's the major highway in near Morristown, I guess, or
in Moorhead, it'd be I-94. And
I-94?
I-94, I-29, they kind of intersect in that area. So
All right, so let's say,
Yeah.
is there a billboard right there?
yeah,
At the intersection?
there's a
All
few.
right. So you get one of those billboards for the day.
Yeah.
In Minnesota, what would you put on it as far as, like, something to say to just, like, your community?
That's a good one. I mean, I just posted this on my story.
Okay.
Just about being fluid.
Yeah.
Fluid, never stagnant.
Okay.
It's a quote that I get
like
from Marcus Stroman. He puts it out there on Twitter.
Yeah.
But I think that's it says a lot about balance, being able to face adversity whenever you need to, and that's still something that I'm learning.
Yep.
But something I need to keep on reminding myself not to get too attached to certain things, to be able to keep it balanced and stay fluid. So yeah,
Love that.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. I actually when I was before you came in, I was on your Instagram and I saw that quote. I'm like, I never heard that before.
Yeah,
that's a good quote.
Yeah, it's a
like
good one.
that.
I like it too.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, man. We'll wrap it up with that. We're 90 minutes in, so
Yeah.
I'll let you get out of here.
It's been great talking,
Yeah.
man. Appreciate you having me again. It's a
Of
good
course.
time.
Appreciate it.
For sure.
All right. Roadie Strength signing off.